Hello and welcome to our top games we played in 2024. These are the games that we personally played and ranked individually. They didn't have to come out in 2024, just that we played them this year. Without further ado, let's get started. PCM, floor is yours. Tell us, what is your number 5 favorite game you played of 2024?
Okay, here I go. So my number 5 game is Live Alive. This one, very excitingly, I'm still in the middle of playing it, and it still makes the list because it's really, really good.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah, this one's slated for a podcast episode coming up sometime soon.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's okay. So every time I play an RPG that Toby Fox has stated inspired him to make Undertale, I start to understand why Undertale turned out the way it did. And this is one of those games that he cited. It is extremely charming and extremely silly, which kind of surprised me, but I don't know, it's got like a wide range of things. It's just, you like take the game like genre by genre and do like a little storyline in each of these genres set in different time periods. Like some moments are extremely silly, and then some moments are like extremely emotional out of nowhere. There's all kinds of, there's like Unga Bunga cave people, there's future and robots, there's like modern day and kind of like a Street Fighter setting where they're fighting. But it's all like a turn-based RPG, and it's got a really cool battle system. It works for like any setting. I will say I only put this at number 5 because there was like one of the most recent of these little like storyline things that I did had a bit of grinding to it. And I wasn't the biggest fan of that. But pretty much all the other story routes that I've played so far are like super good. It's just a really awesome RPG that surprises you with a lot of creative ideas. And it's got an insanely good soundtrack by Yoko Shimomura.
ooh.
Oh.
Is it,
Yeah.
you're playing the remake, right?
Yeah, it's the remake. I'm playing it on Switch.
Oh. Is it, do you like that style, like the Octopath style?
Yeah, the HD 2D. It's pretty good. I don't have any problems with it. I think the game looks very nice. And it's like, even though it's like the HD 2D remake, they still like redrew the sprites and the graphics for the game.
Ooh.
So it actually does look a bit sharper, nicer than the original. But it's, yeah, if you like Undertale, a lot of the things that are in Undertale are in this, like random moments where it just gets like really suspenseful and scary for no good reason, moments where it gets really silly for no reason. Not to spoil too much about it, but there's like an entire story arc where none of the characters speak words, and so everything is just completely like acted out, and the sprite work is really good for that.
That sounds fun.
There's like, it's so many genres. It's just like all of the things slapped into a video game. And once I'm done with this, I'm very curious to see how much of this was on the original, because this was like a Super Nintendo game originally.
Yeah.
But it was Japan exclusive, and now thanks to the remake, it's here in the West, and it's quite good.
Nice.
Heck
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it, but not a lot. So I'm curious about your podcast and what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty blind on this one.
I could imagine us at some point going through this game together, like doing a
Ooh.
let's play of it or something.
Wow.
We've
Yeah.
got a ton of other stuff on the list, but I could see us enjoying this one as well.
I bet. Yeah. It looks good.
Well, for more in-depth thoughts, go to Trading Faves.
Yep.
Depending on when this video comes out, it may already be out. Who knows?
Just
could
about
say?
everything I have to say on this top 5 list is like something pertaining to stuff that's on or going to be on the YouTube channel.
That's great.
A lot of these
Okay.
games got attention.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Guano, give us your number 5.
My number 5, Death Stranding, a Hideo Kojima game. I have to preface all my rankings by like, oh geez, I didn't prepare an essay before this or anything. I'm rambling off the top of my head. No, this is really neat. Not many games like this, you know, we say, oh, that game's a walking simulator, but this game is the walking simulator. It's a hiking simulator. It's a postal delivery serviceman simulator.
Stranding game.
It's a stranding game. No, yeah, it's really neat. I guess like on and off I play it. It's very focused on what it does, which can be slow and meandering at times, but like if you're in the mood for it, if you're there to be in the world, it will embrace you. It is very neat. I think like again with its like kind of unique gameplay that like not many other games really do. It's like the upgrades that you unlock over time. What always kind of like blindsided me is like, what? You can do this now? Because like, I don't know, walking simulator. Did you know you can unlock roads and trucks and stuff? And you're like, huh?
Huh?
Oh, and just got the weird Hideo Kojima flair to it, you know? It's like, hey, do you want to unlock Gordon Freeman's glasses to put on Sam?
Yes.
All right, there you go. They love Half-Life in that universe, you know?
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I haven't finished it yet. I'm maybe halfway, if that. But the vibes are neat. I like putting time into it here and there. It's a good time.
From what I've seen, it's definitely a weird game and definitely a Hideo Kojima game. So, I mean, one of these days I'll get to it.
People called other games a walking simulator, and Kojima said, "Hold my beer."
Now just you wait. Which I guess is to say, like this is me playing it in the year like 2024. Like this game has like an online community, but it's a game that like responds to people playing it and like populates the world with like items people have like left behind. There are walking paths, like desire paths, I think they're called, that like, hey, a lot of people walk this way, so you can see that like this is a route people like to take.
Ooh.
And so like playing this game on release where there's not a lot of that out there and people are like actually trekking through this unclaimed land, that sounds pretty crazy. Not the game I've played. It's been pretty populated, but I don't know, it's really interesting. I guess that's the unfortunate thing is, hey, he patented all that stuff, so don't expect to see a lot of that elsewhere.
He's the only one that can make Strand type games.
Sorry. Just yeah, if you like seeing people's like ghosts in Dark Souls and the signs they leave, this is that taken to 10.
The Strand-like genres in shambles.
Yeah,
Cool.
no idea what the second one will look like, but that'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Definitely need to look into this at some point, or we stream it. One of those.
Probably have you played at some point.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'd be here for it. Just the road trip vibes. You guys
Exactly.
well, make
We'll
Use
those.
a
Real
podcast
stream
for your
podcast.
games.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Mr. Snowfy, it's your turn to give your number 5 pick.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Guano. My number 5 pick.
Wait a sec.
Standing.
So, my number 5 is The Talos Principle 2. This is a first-person puzzle-like game similar to Portal, but it has its own kind of gimmicks. It's weird and spiritual and challenging. It kind of scratched that itch that I was having, where I'm like, I want to solve puzzles, you know? I want to feel dumb. What I really love about this game is the puzzles and stuff, and you go to like different islands, and there's a certain amount of puzzles you need to solve to activate a thing, and you know that all relates to the main story. But what it really does that is interesting is it breaks the rules to its own puzzles, and you have to use puzzles with each other outside of where they're meant to be used, right? So like you can like grab colored beams, use that and point it at a different puzzle across the map because it's like open world, and you use that to figure out a puzzle in like the main area. And that's what the first game did really well, and this one just stacks on top of it. Like, why is there a random like switch or entry point in this overworld, and it's like, oh, because you're gonna break the rules and trying to break out of puzzles to solve this obscure puzzle you didn't know about. I've said puzzles so many times. And again, it's like a weird spiritual sort of thing. They kind of like debate like, oh, what is right and wrong and religion, and it's weird, and what is humanity, and because like you're playing as basically robots that are sentient, and it gets a little on the nose compared to the first one. It's like a trade-off. It's like, oh, I actually know what's going on compared to the first game. In the first game, I was just here for the ride. I had no clue what they were talking about. In the second one, it's very clear what the story is, and they kind of have like weird theological debates, which is hit or miss. It depends, I guess, where you fall on that. But I at least understood what was going on. So again, I don't think the story is amazing, but what I came for was the puzzles, and it does those very, very well. So I highly recommend it.
Heck yeah.
It challenges the mind as well as your morals.
Now you got it.
I feel like I've seen a couple puzzle games that like unravel, where like the levels intertwine in that way. And it's so, I don't know, intimidating, crazy to see that stuff happen. It seems really neat to be in that process as it unfolds.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
awesome.
PCM, please give us your number 4.
It's time for my number 4. I had to.
Yes.
It's been such a big hyperfixation for me this past year and like a little bit of last year. Yeah, Snufkin Melody of Moomin Valley is not literally a walking simulator, but it's one of those games you could consider to be a walking simulator, since a lot of it is kind of just running around this quiet, peaceful world and like doing little quests for all the cute little characters in Moomin Valley. More than anything, like, this is just a really good, like, a feel-good game. The art style is super pretty, and it's not very challenging, so you can kind of just like relax and do a bunch of like silly little tasks and be amused by cute little characters bantering. And so to come off the heels of Elden Ring into a game like this and just be like, nothing's gonna kill us. we can play a cute little harmonica and put flowers in our hat and everything. It's good to have a little variety, and so I think if you're looking for a very mellow, just feel good game, and also like I know a fair number of people that like weren't really into the Moomin Valley series, and this was like their introduction to it, and it got them interested enough in the world. I still kind of hope that like one day we'll maybe get like a Moomin Valley game with like a big budget, something like a whole like 3D world you can explore and see all the locales from the book series and the various versions of the show and whatever. But I think for now, just a nice like affordable indie game with just like a very comfortable aesthetic to it. It's a good chill game. And also there is apparently DLC coming out for this game, which is exciting. A little bit more plot and stuff, and I do plan to cover that on my YouTube channel.
I'll say, yeah, you did the whole series on this, and the moment this music started playing, I'm like, oh, a new episode is out. My brain's just like, oh, wait,
right, because I had the song for the intro.
Yeah, you played it over, so I was Pavloved pretty hard there.
It is,
and you were right. This introduced me to the whole universe and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm. I also
cool.
thought that was a very interesting choice because Snufkin is not supposed to be the main character of the series, but he is a character that travels a lot and explores and has like tons of stories and everything for the rest of the characters. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense to make him the protagonist of a video game because his life is a little less like stable, like set in stone compared to the other characters. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, it makes sense to be this character to go on a big adventure.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, I like the Let's Play of it, so I definitely would be willing to give it a shot myself.
Yay.
Good cozy vibes. Yeah.
Very cozy.
Yeah.
Speaking of not cozy,
Uh-oh.
Guano, give us your number 4.
All right. Well, it's not very cozy.
I knew it!
The most opposite.
Why settle for peace when you could have liberty? Helldivers 2. That is my number 4 game of the year, I think. It's a silly good time. I guess, yeah, again, to be clear, I haven't like really kept up with this game, but it's like an evolving narrative. I guess that's the funny thing is like, hey, this game has a game master. Someone's playing the dungeon master for this experience. But like, I guess on a scale of like, oh, this plant's been taken by the bugs. You have to take it back, a Helldiver. And you're like, yes, sir. I'll go and do my duty, sir. I don't know. I guess that's the big part of it. Is like it's all a bunch of fun, patriotic machismo. Capital P, patriotic. We love Super Earth. We give our lives for Super Earth. Yeah, like as kind of goofy as the premise is, it like takes itself like self-seriously in the universe or whatever, I guess. They like knowingly, the people who created this game, like, yeah, no, this is kind of a crazy situation you're all in. But please go for it. Enjoy yourselves. Spread democracy or etc. But basically, it feels really good to play. It's a fun co-op time. I guess the particular thing is Metal Gear Solid 5. This almost sounds like a tangent, but that feels like, you know, the Metal Gear series in general is cool thematically, but sometimes the gameplay is like, or whatever. But Metal Gear Solid 5 really like brings it together into a really cohesive, like stealth action game. And that's the weird thing is Helldivers 2 feels a lot like Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that to wrap my tangent back around, you're in the world, you have a gun, you can like dive and throw out stratagems. Wow, this is really honestly a loose. This is a cool game. That's all I can say.
I will agree. That was in my honorable mentions actually. This one.
Oh yeah.
I played it a little bit with you and Chalky, and yeah, what I played was really fun. Like you said, it takes itself seriously, but like obviously it's kind of very over. I don't know how to explain it. It's just it takes itself serious, but the concept is like very extreme, so it's not. It's like this is played off for laughs if you kind of get on the joke, right? But it's like, oh man, it's so good. Nothing makes me feel more patriotic than playing this game. And I agree. I'll add on to what you said is the gunplay feels really good. The movement feels really good. And like just, I don't know, the way it plays, and then you got all 4 people working together and doing these missions. It's just, it all comes together and makes a really good game. So I'm with you on that, fellow Helldiver.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for helping structure some of my thoughts. Because I guess that's also the thing. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games. Like I enjoy cooperative stuff, but I also just don't really play them on a whim. I don't want to play with random people online. But this is like one of those rare exceptions where it's like, yeah, literally, it's a drop-in game. Do your best, have fun with people. But a good, casual, fun time with friends. That's where this game really shines. It's beautiful. You make mistakes, you laugh at them. Friendly fire is always on. and that's all right.
That's right. That's right. And the community around this game is pretty great. They are all into it.
Yeah.
Nice. I'd like to try it at some point.
Mm-hmm. The war is always there for you, Helldiver.
Speaking of liberty. That's right, baby.
Hey.
You like killing space bugs? Well, so do I.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we all played Metroid together, kind of just switching off after each death. And for some reason, I don't know, it just really hit with me. Never played the original, and with an NES game, it comes with all the things that NES games are notorious for. So it was brutal as hell and like very unfair at times, and it's like, it sounds bad in how I'm describing it, but I think the camaraderie,
The camaraderie we had.
that's the word.
Yeah.
That we had trying to beat this game just was really fun. It's all the things I like about it. Like, one is the music. It's very atmospheric, and it feels like each area is very distinct, and with all the sprites, and it really feels like you're getting lost in a very foreign planet,
Mhm.
And so it's just atmospheric for something that was made in 1986. I just had a lot of fun playing with all y'all and beating it finally.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, like pulling out the maps people have made for this. Like, really, I guess that really cool guide that we found.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was awesome.
That one was great. I guess I can add to that as the resident, like, huge Metroid obsessor. I was kind of spoiled by starting the series with later games, because when I look back to this, I'm like, oh, it's not as good. There's not all the features there and whatever. But I think you are right that for an NES game, this actually is a very impressive game.
It's really fun. I'd recommend anyone try it with save states.
Yeah.
Turns out
It's 'cause
Metroid are really scary.
It was very intense.
That was my favorite part, was when we first got to the Metroids.
We were so scared.
They're brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, this game is just great, and I recommend it. So that's why it's my number 4.
Yeah. I look forward to springboarding from this to getting you into the other games.
Ooh. Yeah, definitely. All right, Mr. PCM, give us your number 3.
Okay. So, Snowfy, you're telling me that you like space exploration and guns. Well, I do too.
What? Whoa!
Ratchet and Clank, baby!
Woohoo!
Oh man, this is another game that is featured on my YouTube channel. If you want to hear very extensive thoughts from me about it, go check out my podcast.
From all three of us, and also David.
And
That's
you
true.
were there, and you were there. Yeah, it was a good time going through this game with you guys. There is something about this series that I always wanted to get into, but I was holding on to that stupid chivalrous thing of like, I need to start with the first game and work my way through the series. But actually, having gotten to this one, I came in with really low expectations, like, oh, it's the first game in the series. It'll be like kind of rough around the edges, and it's like, no, this is a really solid game. I actually like it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that I've got nowhere to go but up with all the quality of life changes in later games and stuff, it's got me super excited. It's got quirky characters, it's got really slapping music, and it's just got a lot of fun, like, platforming guns, and it provides a good challenge too. I was not ready for the difficulty spike, but
Oh yeah.
I'm here for it. Not every game can be Snufkin Melody of Moon Valley. Sometimes I need that difficulty, and this provided it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Ratchet's lovely.
We talked a lot in that podcast, so a lot of our thoughts are there if y'all need extended thoughts. But yeah, it was fun watching you play this and experiencing it for the first time.
Hmm.
I'm honored this childhood game of mine is on your game of the years.
My Gotti.
Yeah.
Spreading it. Oh no.
Not even like at number 5 or 4. This made it all the way up to 3 because
That's good.
It's that good.
I'll take it. Heck yeah.
I'm glad these Scrimblows, they live on.
These Scrimblows are dear to me.
Well, speaking of PlayStation classics and guns that you collect to save yourself,
Yay!
Oh.
Resident Evil.
Oh, that's a good reference.
Hmm. I guess I said PlayStation classics, but hey, specifically the remake is what we played and what I put on this list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, Resident Evil is pretty fun.
Mm.
I mean, no doubt, I pulled up the map a million times and I got lost more times than that. But what a good time! What a good place to be lost in. It's a good game. It's a good time. I guess, like, yeah, really. Exploring it the way you can check everything off your map. Like, hey, okay, I've done everything I need to in this room. I can, like, stay away from that because I know there's zombies in there or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm surprised it's this high up.
Yeah, I really did have a good time with it. We played through it twice on our playthrough,
That's
I guess.
true.
Both routes, Jill and Chris.
Yeah.
I guess, hey, did you know in Japan, apparently, Jill is explicitly labeled as, like, the easy mode compared to Chris.
Really?
But, like, hey,
Makes
in
sense.
America, it's like, good luck. I hope you picked the right one.
That's true. That's fair. I'm glad.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like the item inventory, it's like you got to balance. Like, I could have all these health and ammo, so I'm like prepared, but I got to carry this key to this one place, so I got to sacrifice stuff. So it's very
Yeah.
balancing act kind of thing, where it's like, oh, I better have some inventory space in case I do find something, and then I don't have to come all the way back for it. You know, gives that
Yeah.
tension.
I think what I'm trying to articulate is, like, every item feels meaningful to find and pick up.
Mm.
There's not, like, filler that's, like, just kind of, bloating your inventory and, like, oh, geez, I have so much
Yeah.
to sort through. You're like, oh, thank goodness I found this green herb. I will find a use for it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something around items rolling around in my head that I can't express there. But Resident Evil, I like how it does it.
Good. Yeah, I recommend the remaster definitely. We showed off in our streams the original for a little bit, but I think the remaster does it pretty well. Still looks good even to this day, especially with the 4K mods.
It looks amazing. Yeah.
Mhm. That's what you get when you like pre-render stuff, and you don't have to worry about like dynamic lighting and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic game, and if you want to get into like horror survival games, this is definitely a good one to jump into.
Yeah. Good old classic.
Mhm.
It was really fun to watch you guys go through this. I was kind of surprised at how like faithful it was to the original, but they still kind of upped the scariness with like the improved graphics, because the original game is very silly.
Mhm.
It's like purely just because of how dated it is. It's extremely silly, but this one's like, oh, it's the same game, but it's a bit more serious. It's a bit cooler.
Yeah, a
So I
little
like
better
that.
voice acting.
Yeah.
You're right.
You were almost a Jill sandwich. Yeah, all the characters are
Barry.
a lot of cheese on them. A lot of
Mhm.
lovely. Yeah.
It's very lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I can introduce you.
Thank you.
All right. Let me give you my number 3.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Ah, yes. My number 3 has to, of course, be Baldur's Gate 3.
3 for 3.
3 for 3. took us almost a year to beat this game. But it was so much fun. I had a blast going through it with y'all.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It's a very ambitious game, I will say, and it's like what it accomplished is pretty amazing. When I first started it, I had zero D&D experience. I was not used to classic RPGs or anything like that, so this was definitely out of the water for me. And turns out, wow, I actually really like it. I really enjoyed us all playing together, and we made a whole campaign out of it, and it was really fun. It's very flexible, I will say. It's not like, oh, I want to move here. Well, let me just wait till everyone takes their turn or whatever. It's like some of us can be doing other things while others can be, all of a sudden they end up in a fight and they're like, guys, I need some help here. And we're like, oh, we're coming. I felt it was just so awesome. And, we could each kind of do our own little thing, but still work together. And then we just, grew our characters up, and I don't know. It was just really fun to play this with all y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It has its problems, at least for us. It was very buggy.
Boy, does it.
We crashed a lot of times, and we weren't allowed to reload because it would also crash. So we had to just deal with it. We've made a lot of mistakes along the way. A lot of people died, innocent people, but that's just how it rolls. And I like all our characters and our dynamics, and everyone had their role to play, and it was just really fun to play.
Mhm.
It's one of those games that's just like, there's also so much still there to discover, It's like we didn't get to experience any of the real stories for the side characters that, you could get playing solo, So it's like worth going back for that, or, seeing what other storylines you can do, different endings and that stuff.
Yeah, this one's in my honorable mentions. Basically because of that, it feels like we haven't played this game yet. Is the ironic thing there?
That's true.
Our full party of 4, the game just doesn't let you have the single player companion based experience that way, which is unfortunate. But what we did play our own way was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy it.
It felt like we're playing a D&D campaign, but one of us does not need to sacrifice to be the DM or whatever. We can kind of just let the game dictate what we do.
I think this particular game has one of the best systems for co-op out of any video game ever. Just for the reason that so many of these games will do here's your single player campaign where all of the budget went, and then here's this tacked on kind of not well done multiplayer version of it, or it's just stuff that's meant to be played online with other people, competitive stuff, or shooters or whatever. This to be able to go through an entire story with a group of friends, that's super cool to me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think I didn't actually write this in my honorable mentions, but I think I'll add this to honorable mentions because it's
good.
It's good.
It certainly took a good chunk of the year for you.
It definitely did. It's hard to stay committed to a game that long, but I'm glad we did.
We did do it. Yeah.
It's it's like real D&D.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to commit.
It's definitely a good entry point for D&D in my opinion.
It is.
So,
yeah,
I highly recommend it.
There's something about just booting up the game and hearing this theme at the startup that's just oh baby, here we go.
You heard us all react to that music.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We know exactly. Yeah. Pavlov again. All right. PCM, can you give us your number 2?
It's my turn for number 2. There's 2 games that I'm gonna squeal about. So
I know, which one is it?
Now's your time to place your bets on which one comes in second.
All on Black.
Which one?
All on Black, he says. Well, guess what? That's not a bad guess because it's Shadow.
What?
Yeah.
Well, now I very curious about your first.
That's fair. Okay, Sonic X Shadow Generations was the surprise hit that came out this year. Mainly just to be promotional material for the movie, which is going to feature Shadow. But one thing I can respect about Sonic Team is that even their promotional material is still pretty good. There's something about... I know, like, every time a decent Sonic game comes out, people are like, oh, Sonic is back! But with Sonic Frontiers, it felt, like, more sincere. Like, oh, we're actually gonna, like, really try and make Sonic good again. And I think Sonic X Shadow Generations was the proof that that's going to continue and it wasn't just a one-time fluke. So because it's a hybrid game, you get Sonic Generations as half of the game, and it's, you know, a re-release of a very good Sonic game that's very enjoyable to play through. And then the other half of the game is Shadow Generations, which is like all brand new content and everything. And it takes a lot of what was good about Frontiers while also kind of leaving behind some of the things that weren't as good. Like, for example, the control felt a lot better in Frontiers, and this has kind of the same thing, just very responsive, very snappy. And Shadow is just like a very unique character with a lot of unique abilities that Sonic doesn't have. And they really play to that in the gameplay. There's a lot of things that you just couldn't do as Sonic that Shadow can. You get like a little projectile, you can shoot Chaos Spears. They add a bunch of like new abilities with like the Doom stuff. You can grow wings, you can get a little manta ray to surf on. A lot of it is very like overly edgy, but in that way that's best for Shadow. The devs like really lean into the edginess and be like, no, we're not gonna like, you know, half-ass it and make something like cringy. We're gonna whole-ass it.
Nice.
Yeah. As they did with Sonic Generations, you know, all those years ago, they really leaned in on like the attention to detail, referencing as just an insane number of like obscure callbacks from old Sonic games. And I like specifically that with Shadow Generations, they put a lot of focus on the older Sonic games that really failed. There's to a lesser degree Sonic Heroes, but there's a lot of love for Sonic 06, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Forces even gets a little bit of love as well. They took all those ideas from those games and were like, what if we did those but good? And I respect it so much. And I think most of all, I just respect like how much love is shown to Shadow as a character and his off the walls insane lore. Even for Sonic lore is crazy in general, but Shadow lore is like the craziest part of Sonic lore. And so the fact that like instead of shying away from their failures, Sonic Team is like, hey, let's, you know, separate the good from the bad and just, you know, take some of these old ideas and give them new life now that we have more experience as a team. Still to this day, I think one of their best decisions was bringing on Ian Flynn to write for the games. Because for a while, like, Sonic stories were starting to fall off. And I know a lot of people complain that Ian makes a lot of references to past games, and it's kind of like that Family Guy, like, hey, Lois, remember that time that Black Doom attacked the Earth? Like that kind of... Not all of his writing is perfect or anything, but I think it's just the fact that, like, somebody who likes Sonic is writing Sonic stories again is definitely a very good thing. You can see my whole playthrough. It's on YouTube.
That's true. That's very true.
I like towards the ending, I even like started getting emotional seeing it just because it was, you know, what I wanted when I was a kid and I played Shadow the Hedgehog and didn't get, because that game is it's not the worst Sonic game, but it's still kind of a mess, and so it disappointed me as a kid. And now, all these years later, there's a new shadow-focused game, and it's just all good.
It's got redemption arc. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I liked your playthrough of it, and what I've seen is just like, so good. They took what they learned from Sonic Frontiers and just made it even better, and just the way it all
Yeah.
comes together, just so good.
Because that
And I
kind of
like-
was what they were saying about Sonic Frontiers. Is like the gameplay was fun, but it's in like very normal, natural environments instead of like the really like fantastical, insane environments. So now we get that kind of gameplay, but in the crazy high octane levels that Sonic Generations had. It's a really good blending of everything from previous games.
Yeah, I agree. And I like, like you said, redemption arc for some of their lesser good games. It's just, I don't know, it's really good. And the music is just so good. And,
The soundtrack is cracked.
oh, man. It's, and again, like you said, it's just a promotional game, but they go hard. They go hard.
It's I also got to give them credit. A lot of the soundtrack, they've continued their trend of hiring like YouTubers and fans of the Sonic series to professionally work on their games. Some of the names in the credits are YouTuber people that worked on the soundtrack, and it's like, that's neat.
I like that.
Yeah, bring them all together.
Yeah. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Was not expecting this to be your number 2. I was expecting
I know,
number
right?
1.
It's a Sonic game, and it's only number 2.
I have no idea what your first is then. Wow.
Fuck
It's gonna be
me.
a surprise. Mr. Guano, why don't you
Boy.
tell us what your number 2 is?
Okay, my number 2. I'm clicking the button.
Wow!
Bow, bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow,
Glad we
bow.
beat it before now.
I had to rearrange my list real quick.
Oh, good.
No, I've had other games I mentioned like Death Stranding. I haven't even finished that game, and I put it on here. So
That's fair.
this would have been here anyway. Number
Yay.
2, Outer Wilds. This is a game that's definitely been on my radar for the longest time. I've never gotten around to, just because like partially like, hey, maybe we'll have a stream of that someday. But otherwise it's like you know how like you have a game that you know you're gonna like, but you just don't play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have too many games like that on my list.
Yep.
Yeah, this game is awesome. They have like such a small universe that feels so big, feels deep, I guess is like the biggest thing, right? You're uncovering little bits about it and the characters as you go, and just piecing together this galactic mystery. It's just despite it being so big, it feels intimate, and what can I say? It's very good. It's very cute. Everyone's adorable.
I like intimate. That is a good word for this game.
Mhm.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. And again, you still have the DLC to play, so still more
Yeah.
to come.
I'm gonna have to bump this up later. It's
This might just take as one.
honorable mention, the DLC I haven't played yet.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, and I'll add on to it. Just like what this game does with how its mechanic is basically in a time loop, is that you don't get upgrades like you normally would in other games. All the upgrades you get is just knowledge. So you learn how the game mechanics work, and that's why the dubbed Metroid Brainia came about after this game, because it's genre defining how it plays.
Yeah, it's I guess because of that, the Metroid Brainia, people are like, I wish I could play this game again for the first time. I can't promise my experience will be anything like what yours was years ago, but hey, I had my first time just this year. Wow.
That's true.
Doing it on stream makes me feel like a dummy sometimes with the puzzles, but it's a good time piecing it all together.
Yeah. It can do that sometimes, but
It's that pressure to perform well for an audience.
I guess like, yeah, if I did play this on my own time, I can't promise myself that I wouldn't have looked stuff up.
you're
So
right.
it's nice to have like a tour guide, like nudge me in directions if I'm completely missing a few things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Yeah. I can say as a spectator, having like watched your streams, but also like suffering from motion sickness and not like completely paying attention to the gameplay. Even for like as little as I have, like I'm always doing something while having your streams on the side. Like I can just feel how special this game is. It radiates specialness.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about like the vibe and the charm of the world that's you just can't ignore it. It's just way too, I don't know. It feels like a warm hug and also like a mind blow at the same time.
And the way its story is structured, and you slowly piece it together, and you're just like, wait, this makes sense. Ah, so good.
Yeah. All these weird alien names, but like, oh wait, I recognize that name though.
Uh-huh.
I'm getting it.
Start to get it. All right. My turn for my number 2. When in doubt, let the goat out.
The goat.
So, my number 2, surprise, surprise, is Pseudo Regalia. You introduced me,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. PCM, when you were like, oh, we're going to play this game next. And I was like, what is this game? Oh, it's cheap right now. Let me grab it and play it before the podcast. And wow, I turned out to really, really like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3D platformer, emphasis on the platformer bit, where you're just trying to get through this weird castle, but the way it like platforms is very weird, but also feels so good to control. You're like, instead of, just like climbing up walls, you gotta like kick off them, then do a backflip in midair just to grab the ledge. It's weird, and it's like at first you're like, this is hard. How do I do this? It's hard to control. And then, you do it enough times, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, this feels really good to control. And the more you progress, the more power-ups you get, which help, expand your platforming capabilities. Really, really good movement system. With that, I like that there are certain platforming challenges where it's like, you should probably have this move in order to beat it, but you don't have to. If you're good enough, you can get past some of these challenges just using what you have at the time, right? Like, for instance, I mentioned in the comment, like there was a room with a giant cylinder in it, and you're supposed to have the wall running power up to get around it. But, if you're good, you can like long jump, kick off it 2 to 3 times, and then at the last second, backflip in midair to reach the platform. You don't need that ability. It felt so good to do that. It felt so good to kind of like break the game to just, get where I need to go. The music, as you can hear, is kind of funky and weird. Definitely gives me that like old N64 PS1 vibe,
Yeah, definitely.
It's just a really good game. And of course, you can dress up the goat. So
Yay, there's
appreciate
costumes.
that. There is costumes. You can give her pants.
Watching speedrunners explain sequence breaks in this game feels like the scene where SpongeBob's teaching Squidward how to blow a bubble, and he's got all the steps. Stop on your right foot, don't forget it.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier about like having games I haven't played, even though I know I'll like them. I'm a freak and a fool. This game is in my Steam library. What am I doing? Yeah, I really need to boot this up.
You didn't play the game with the hot furry MILF?
I don't know what you're talking about.
A real game you could just kind of get sunk into, and it's also a really good podcast game because, there's not going to be people talking to you too much, or, it's like, hey, listen, look at this. It's really just you platforming, so I really like that for, for that stuff.
Play it on stream. Play it on stream.
Maybe
I mean-
we will.
All right, maybe I shouldn't play it then.
Ah, shoot! Why'd you say that?
This is another game that falls into honorable mention territory for me. It was gonna be on my top 5, and then we played Ratchet, and I was like, oh, but
Oh no.
maybe it at least makes 5th, and then I played Live Alive, and I was like, no!
Oh.
But it's still an incredible game.
I'm glad I was able to give it some justice.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
agreed.
All right. Well, now let's move on to honorable mentions.
Oh, lovely.
PCM, what, pray tell, would you like to honorably mention?
Well, thankfully you covered Pseudo Regalia, so
Yes.
don't have to do that one. There was, once again, featured on my YouTube channel, another one that I played at like pretty early on in the year called Checkmate Showdown. If you remember that one, it was the combination of chess and a fighting game.
That's right.
That one was super cool. There was one, it's like maybe the only thing that I'm talking about that wasn't featured on my YouTube. Well, no, there's one other. Anyway, a thing that wasn't featured on my YouTube channel but was a really, really great game was Little Kitty Big City.
Oh, yeah.
That is another cozy vibes game where you just play as this adorably animated cat and just cause havoc around a city. you can knock people over and make them drop what they're carrying and then grab it in your mouth and run away. Or you can like nuzzle up against people's legs. You can like pounce on birds and talk to other animals. It's an extremely silly, fun game. I think those were the only ones I wrote down. I did remember one more that I'll just talk about really quickly, and that's Eschatos, which is a like a scrolling space shooter game. I am hugely obsessed with Galaga. It's like one of the first games I ever played, and so Eschatos feels like Galaga on crack. Like it's got like really wild graphics, and you're like weaving through enemy fleets, and there's like a spray of a billion bullets. It's that bullet hell type of stuff that I'm just such a masochist for. And it's very cheap in a fairly short arcadey style game, so that's another one I'd recommend.
Cool.
Okay. I've only really got the one, like other than Baldur's Gate, which we brought up earlier. A game I keep bringing up on stream that I keep meaning to play more of, In Stars and Time, is very cool. Yeah. It's the problem is like I don't think I can speak on it at all. I know that game's a lot about like depression and kind of like going through the day again and again. My protagonist is still relatively upbeat, so I haven't even like gotten into the meat of the game proper. But the writing and the characters are just really delightful. They're so lovely to get to know, and you already just feel so close with them. I guess it's a time loop game, so playing into that, it did get kind of repetitive for me, and so maybe that's why I haven't gotten back to it yet. But I keep meaning to. That's a really charming world with great characters, and I want to feel the feels. I want to be sad.
Oh, fair enough.
It's good, yeah.
I got a couple here that I was like, oh wow, I did play that this year. I did play and complete Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen.
Oh.
Really interesting game with weird mechanics and like an action RPG, but you can climb on the monsters and stuff, and it's kind of focused on, you have a pawns as they're called. They're just your team members that'll help you fight. But you can like summon other people's pawns. So it's like you can go online and work together. So that was really fun. Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. Really great. I liked how it's coming along. I'm excited to play the third one eventually.
Eventually.
Eventually. Regency Solitaire was a surprise hit. for
Oh,
me.
I think Regency. Yeah.
Regency, that's how you say it.
Regency.
Is
Oh, yeah.
it's solitaire, but like I don't know, it changes the rules a bit, and there's this whole background about like, oh, you're a princess, and you gotta win the heart of the prince or something like that.
That was
I
in
don't
our
remember.
treasure trove trial, right?
It was.
It
And I
was,
like,
yeah.
this is fun. So
Yay.
I played and beat it. So yeah, Cat Quest, really fun. It's a PCM game. I really,
It sure is.
it really is. The main cat, besides your main character, has Kirby eyes. So
Say no more.
uh-huh. And it's just like an RPG, but they cut all the fluff out. It's like going on a quest, okay, and then you just move to the spot. It's like, okay, now kill the things. Okay, great, you beat the quest, and you leveled up. It's very like, yeah, streamlined, and I appreciate that. Alan Wake was fun.
Mm.
You know, I played that. Got to experience AAA games way back in the day. So, with a weird story, very meta. I like that.
Yeah.
I
I
like-
really want to try Alan Wake. It seems
Yeah.
cool.
I recommend it. Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment. We played that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Definitely, really continues what Shovel Knight does best. And yeah, like playing with all y'alls. Superliminal, that was fun to play.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
It was it got really weird and we broke it a couple times, but it's a fun time with friends. And
Mhm.
finally, while we're currently going through it, Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm really digging it actually, and especially those boss fights. It's like, oh, this is actually like the most active in VR I've felt in a while.
You're really working it out, yeah.
I was sweating, man. It was, woof.
I
Good
did
stuff.
one small encounter and I perished.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
props to you for doing that.
yeah, real fun time.
Can I say something that I forgot?
Yeah, go for it.
Because I was looking back at the stuff that I played, and I'm like, oh shoot, that was this year. So the first one I want to call attention to is with Pizza Tower, the update that added the noise as a playable character.
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
That one's really good. It's mostly just like playing through the campaign again as a different character. But all of his moves are so different than Pepino's to the point that it like does feel like you're playing through a new game. And there's like new music, and like in general, a lot of stuff has been changed to be more themed around the noise instead of Pepino. So there's a lot of charm there.
Mhm.
And then another one that I feel bad for forgetting about because this was a really good game. Horizon Zero Dawn. I played that for the first time this year.
That's true.
Yay! I was thinking about it. I was like going through everything. I was like, there's something I'm forgetting. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. I didn't finish it like one because you guys were streaming it and it was just kind of more convenient to catch the game that way. But also like I was feeling kind of burnt out and it was like a little too much video game for me at
Certainly.
the moment. So I kind of put it on the shelf, but that is not to say anything to the quality of the game. It's a really good game. Lots of attention to detail and, you know, just like really like interesting characters and a really interesting, mysterious world. And I actually am very excited to seeing the sequel as well, but
Me too.
I don't know.
Cool.
I also got scared of playing this one because like my PC started overheating while I was playing this game.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
intensive.
lowering the graphic settings and everything and still just like getting like little artifacts on my screen and I'm like,
Oh my
might be too high end. I don't know.
That's
but
funny.
I'm
but
glad
it
you
still
guys are
was
enjoying
really
it.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into the Forbidden West this next year. See how you guys feel about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll just throw out one more shout out because I only had
All
one.
right, let's hear it.
It'll do was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a time or place for it in my game of the year, but like, what a fun time. That's cute.
Yeah.
Just want to
Good.
shout that out. Yeah.
It'll do.
It'll do.
It'll do.
All right, PCM.
It's time for the
Please.
finale. I'm actually very surprised that you're not sure what this is, Snowfy.
I'm pretty
once
sure I
you
know.
show it, I'll be like, oh yeah, but
Yeah.
This is,
I don't remember.
since about like late March, early April this year, there is one particular game that I have been painfully obsessed with. And then go figure, a DLC expansion came out for it in the same
Oh
year.
yeah. Okay.
Oh my goodness, where do I start?
PCM, can the DLC be Game of the Year?
You had this on last year.
Technically, it was 2022 that I had the original Elden Ring,
Oh yeah.
and I had only like just barely started with it, so I was hardly as invested as I
I didn't
am
even
now.
know how much of a game of the year it was.
Mm-mm. This could have been like Game of the Year if I had properly played through it when it came out, but the DLC is kind of just my excuse to talk about why I like the entire game. But man, Elden Ring has like changed the way that I view video games and kind of like changed the way I think about the world in a lot of ways.
Wow.
There's something about this stupid open world adventure prepare to die BS that FromSoft is always churning out that just like Elden Ring got me. This game is really something special. I think to really explain how much it's gripped me, I'd say it's like within my top 10 games of all time.
Wow.
Like y'all remember back in the day when we co-op Dark Souls and I was like not really having
not
fun.
vibing.
And it was kind of just like an excuse to hang out with you guys, but I was kind of like, I just want this to be over with. I like even back then I still kind of like understood the appeal, but like seriously, now it's got me.
Nice.
And it's not even just like, oh, all of FromSoft now. It's like Elden Ring in particular, like there's something about like the world and the characters and just like the tragedy that's like constantly surrounding you, but also just the determination to push through and overcome the odds and become something great. And it's the fact that like the DLC is just like a whole nother game. They told us it was going to be like one little area the size of Limgrave, and they lied and accidentally made a sequel.
This kind of is a sequel of a DLC, yeah.
It's
Like, do you know when the original game was released and this one?
it was 2022, wasn't it?
It may have been. I truly don't remember.
I think it was.
So.
If not 2022, then 2021. But it was. I feel like it was 2022. But yeah, 2 years later, using the framework they built with the original game, they just pumped so much difficulty and intensity and lore and insanity into this. I remembered like being that scared rogue build that I was in Dark Souls, not understanding that I need to put my stats into Dex instead of Strength in order to deal more damage, and just dying to everything and having a miserable time, to like now I have played through the base campaign of Elden Ring 3 times. I've played through the DLC twice, and I beat the infamously brutal pre-patched final boss on my own without like summoning other players for help.
Oh, wow.
And it feels like such an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You got good.
I did. I got good. I found some maidens and I got good.
No longer maidenless. Nice.
I mean, my relationship status is single, so. And it's probably because I spent more time playing this game than I did talking to girls, but it's better. This
There are
game is
girls
better
in the
than
game.
It's better than dating. It's so cool. It's brutally difficult. The bosses are so freaking explosive. There's like just laser beams and fireballs and explosions and guys with swords twice your size. Like, it's so cool. And it's the art style and the music, everything just blends together, and it's that FromSoft approach of like having a storyline in the background that's not like really a fleshed out storyline, so that way like when you get to a new area, instead of seeing a cutscene where your character is like, whoa, look at this, you the player are like, whoa, look at this, and like actually experiencing it for yourself. And that's so cool. I love this game. It makes me want to cry how much I love it. I'm completely sucked into this world.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, that's me gushing.
Yeah. Well, from what we've played, you know, as our casual thing that we're doing is pretty fun so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Probably nothing quite like playing it single player. I haven't played it single player, is what I'm saying, but yeah, it's been fun doing our goofy little co-op thing at least.
And it's kind of the same deal as Baldur's Gate, where like the co-op does change the vibe of the experience, but it's also fun to co-op. So
yeah. I remember it being on my list a couple years ago, saying this was the triple of all triple A's.
Yeah.
So
there is a lot of AAA slop out there, and I like to dunk on AAA games and be like, no, like indie games and smaller scale stuff is better, but like this is how you do a AAA game.
I can't believe I forgot you were obsessed with this for
I
a couple
know.
years.
You are a fool.
I know.
It became my personality. This is the second coming of Diddy Kong Racing for me.
Oh, baby.
All right, get it away from me. I'll just keep gushing if we stay here too long.
Oh, okay. Guano,
Alright.
please save him.
Allow me to flip the vibes on their head.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's Astrobot.
Astrobot.
I've been struggling to express my feelings throughout this whole night. I'm not gonna bring anything new to the table about Astrobot that you don't already know, just looking at him. It's cute, it's adorable. The gameplay is very fun. It's the little treats that you get through playing it. It's like, oh, that's an adorable little thing. And like, again, I cannot express it in like one good, concise statement. It's just a joy. It's an adorable game. And as the self-avowed Sony pony, the PlayStation fool, this game speaks to me in a strange way.
Yeah.
I got like, I don't know how many VIP bots there are. I mean, total there are like 300 bots. And I missed maybe 3 or 4 references. I was kind of built to understand just about everything that's being thrown at me here. And yeah, it's cute, it's adorable. It's Astrobot. What's his name? Astrobot.
Astrobot. This, I need to go back and finish it. That's why it's not in my top. I wanted to put it on here, but I was like, I know Guano's gonna talk about it. And I need to play it. I beat the original, you know,
The OG.
the OG VR version. And this one just takes things up a notch, and all those Sony mascots are just great to see, and just a lot of love and charm in this game. And like the music and the gameplay and the graphics, it's just, you know, it really is showing off what the PS5 can do. It's like, oh man, so good, so fun. It's just, I don't know, it's adorable.
As the not PS5 haver in the corner here, I will say, like, purely just like the little bits of gameplay that I've seen and just looking at it, this would probably rank like number 3 on my top 5 list. It looks so good. There's something about like the fact that I've constantly missed out on the PlayStation IPs, and it feels like a niche that's not like being filled anywhere else except like kind of through indie games. And as soon as I saw this game, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want from video games. Just that cute charm and that like attention to detail. It's almost kind of like better at categorizing PlayStation's history the way Smash Bros does than like PlayStation All-Stars, the Smash Bros clone, did.
It's like, not to discredit your point about wanting to play a PlayStation game. This is the most Nintendo PlayStation game out there.
That's fair. And the lines between Nintendo and PlayStation were a bit more blurred back in the day when everyone was doing platformers. But yeah, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, I guess the gripes that I have heard that you could have is like, it's like a nostalgic cash grab, you know? Like PlayStation's nothing like this nowadays. They don't really. It's kind of a melancholy time playing through this game. It's like, oh, that was an adorable thing when they did that in the past. So it is like, in that way, a nostalgia trap.
It's references to a lot of IPs that like aren't around anymore, and
like, oh, that studio was just torn apart. Yeah.
Game of the year.
No, yeah, the game on its own merits, wonderful. Everything it stands for, it's like kind of wistful. Better times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I need to finish it.
I want to play it.
We're gonna make you play it.
Yay!
Yeah. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Must I show you? Do you and all y'all know?
I don't know that I know.
I don't know that I know.
You both know.
I'll.
How could you not?
I should have known.
You should have known.
Coconut told me. I should have known.
You should have known.
She literally told me that this was your game of the year, and then I forgot.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, say it by
what
name.
A game. Tunic.
Tunic.
What a game. It's so weird and great how it does things. It's just like, you think, oh, it's just gonna be a Zelda clone, but no, it does so much more than what you expect. It's another category in the Metroidvania. It's basically, you can play the game and enjoy it and be like, oh yeah, you just go, you get your sword and your shields, and you can find some items along the way, very Zelda-esque, and then you got your dungeons to crawl and enemies to slay. But the whole time there is this kind of secret kind of going on. You have this copy of the manual that you find pages for that kind of tells you what's going on, and it's hidden mechanics that you didn't know, right? Like, there's a hidden mechanic to just even level up. You don't know how to do it until you basically learn how to do it.
I've played just enough to be like, oh, what the?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, yeah, you're unlocking knowledge to further progress through the game. 100% to complete this game requires something I have never seen before. It really, you're just like, oh, you're seeing the forest from the trees. Wait a sec, this was here this whole time, and then you start noticing patterns, and you start connecting dots, and you're like, I need a pen and paper right now. This is, wait, hold on. And it's just so fantastic for that. Like how I mentioned that Taos principle, how I like when you have to break the puzzles to solve a different puzzle. This is kind of similar in that vein, and it just does it so freaking well, and it's just such a great game. It's also cute. It's so cute.
Be brave, tiny fox.
He's so cute. And like, there is like a halfway point where you think you beat the game, but it's like, no, actually, you're just getting started.
Ooh.
Yeah. and it's just so good. And I got to play the Archipelago randomizer, which is also just as good. And I'm like, man, this game is just so great. The music's great, story is great. It's just can't gush enough about it.
Yeah, I look at this game, I think I like it, but I'm only like scratching the surface. I don't really know what's in there.
Exactly. It's a game you should experience firsthand. Because there's just connections. Like you gotta play it to basically unlock this. It's not like something you'll see visually. It's kind of stuff that you have to feel, you know? And you're just like, oh. It's a pen and paper game. Surprisingly. I still have like notes written around with secrets that I'm like, yes, I need to remember this. So I wrote
That's
them
good.
down.
Yeah.
It's like not a lot of games make me do that, and this one just did it perfect.
When I remember, like, around the time this one came out, the only discourse that I heard about it was, oh, it's like Zelda, but a little different. And then I didn't hear anything else, and I was like, well, I already got Zelda, so I can skip this one, I guess. Everything that you've said here, I've never heard anything about that, and this game sounds great. Like, I'm sold.
Exactly. Yeah, no, Zelda is just what you see on the surface. There's a whole other thing.
There's a whole
hidden.
fox under that tunic.
There's a whole fox under that tunic. Exactly.
There's games that make you say oh, and then there's games that make you say italicized oh.
Oh.
This is
Exactly.
the latter.
This is it. So
So you plan on making me play this on stream, right?
if you don't play it by then, I will.
I had the
will
impression
force
that you're going to
you.
make me do it. So yeah.
Well, maybe that'll be what's next. Who knows? Mhm.
Cool.
And with that, that's our top 5 games of the year.
Woohoo!
What'd y'all think? Was it a
Bad
good
year.
year? Bad year? Just terrible games all around?
Everything
Oh.
sucks. I can't believe a DLC won Game of the Year.
It's Jeff Keighley's fault. And it was a good year. Lots of
I
games.
definitely went into this thinking that it was going to be like kind of a slower year for video games, and then a bunch of stuff just like jumped out at me and surprised me.
There were some surprise hits. Like Astrobots just came out of nowhere, just like, hello, I'm gonna be really
Hey.
good. And just-
Yeah.
Good year. Good year for games and all good times around.
I'm borrowing this from a podcast, but there's never been a better year to play video games. There's just more every year, you know? Never been a
I
better
like
time.
Yeah. That. Goodbye. Have a good year. Enjoy the next. Hopefully we play more games and have more fun.
Enjoy your 2025. It's going to be worse.
It's gonna be the best year for games.
Actually,
Never been a
Metroid Prime
better
4 though. Oh.
There's still games coming out.
Yeah.
It never stops.